Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. Thank you to everyone who watched the first best and worst Doctor Who Cliffhangers video that I produced just over a month ago. That video proved quite popular on my YouTube channel, and with nearly 60 years worth of cliffhangers to choose from, I felt that we deserved a sequel. So please hit the subscribe button, that will really help out this channel. This is Doctor Who Best and Worst Cliffhangers, Volume 2. A few months ago, it was the 40th anniversary of the Fifth Doctor story, Earthshock, and the cliffhanger to part 1 of that 4-part adventure, well, to quote the cyber leader himself, it was excellent. Just in case you don't know that cliffhanger, the Fifth Doctor, Nyssa, Tegan, and a group of cave explorers are under attack by a pair of androids, and it's soon revealed that these androids belong to the returning Cybermen. Nowadays, it's quite hard not to reveal the Cybermen for this story because they're on every cover of videos, DVDs, Blu-rays, you name it, they're on there. But what I did do was, with my fiance, was I showed her the first episode without even revealing that the Cybermen was in it. So we just watched it fresh-faced, as it were. And yeah, it worked. My fiance was totally surprised about the Cybermen coming into the story. She quite enjoyed the eerie atmosphere of part 1 of Earthshock. So I'm glad that I was able to kind of rewind time a little bit and just show it in all its glory like it was back in 1982. I would love to travel back in time and watch other people's reactions to the Cybermen returning after a long absence from Doctor Who. What I also love about this cliffhanger is the story behind it as well, because John Nathan Turner, the producer, and a very clever showman as he was, really wanted to keep this big reveal of the Cybermen a secret. They were filming behind closed studios. They weren't letting any fans go and watch the production of this story, and they even turned down a front cover for Radio Times magazine just to keep all of this a massive secret. So on an appreciation level behind the scenes, as well as what we saw on screen, especially with the cyber leader bellowing destroy them at once, this is a good, if not great cliffhanger, one of my favourites. The same can be said for the part 2 cliffhanger for the Tomb of the Cybermen, where we see the Cybermen emerge from their tombs in that classic 60s Cybermen theme. And oh, it's just such an iconic scene. If you haven't seen it before, please do check it out. Where you just see all the Cybermen coming out of their tombs, going down the massive set, and then you have the cyber leader coming out of his own separate tomb as well. And then after all that, you have Klieg, one of the scientists and explorers, trying to sort of be the showman, really, and to say, we've freed you from your tombs so you can be, basically, in his head, their slaves. But the cyber leader, the cyber controller, had other ideas. He pretty much slams him onto the floor, and with that eerie electronic voice from the cyber controller, utters the lines, "You belong to us, you shall be like us." This is 1960s era Doctor Who at its best, and with it being in black and white, it just adds to that eerie, creepy element, and just for this story, just kind of just pays homage to the 50s or 60s horror B movies that was around back in those days. So yes, for me, the cliffhanger for part 2 of the Tomb of the Cybermen, it's a good cliffhanger. However, the same cannot be said for the part 2 cliffhanger for the Fifth Doctor story, The Warriors of the Deep. This is where the huge sea monster known as the Merker crashes its way through the underwater sea base, only to have the Fifth Doctor and Tegan trapped with this monster, presumably sealing their fate. On paper, that sounds quite scary, but in reality, it was a terrible looking design monster that looks pretty much like a pantomime horse, smashing through some polystyrene doors, with Tegan being trapped under there and the Doctor having to try his acting skills to his best to free Tegan. And then the Doctor and Tegan are sealed. The commander in charge of the underwater base has ordered for the doors to be shut so the monster can't get through any more polystyrene doors, I believe, only for Tegan and the Fifth Doctor to be trapped. And Yes, cue the credits. Now, I don't like ragging on the special effects and the set designs or anything like that when it comes to classic Doctor Who, because we all know that it's on a shoestring budget. And it's the same, to be fair, for modern Doctor Who as well. But really, this was just terrible throughout. If you haven't seen my Warriors of the Deep review, I do recommend that you check that out for a bit more in-depth version of the story. But suffice to say, with everything that went on with this ending to part two, it's a bad cliffhanger. Little bit controversial now, and I'm not a big fan of the part one cliffhanger for the third Doctor story, Planet of the Daleks. Don't get me wrong, visually it looks fine. We have the third Doctor with the Thals in the jungle, and they hear this mechanical sound near them in the jungle, and this mechanical sound suddenly stops. They get their spray can out that looks like something from Link's deodorant ad, spray it around, only to reveal that it's a Dalek that has mastered invisibility. The problem I have with it, though, is that the third Doctor is with the Thals, and they might not have said it fully, but they probably would reveal in the future episodes that they're here to stop the Daleks on another planet. We know that the Thals are the sworn enemy of the Daleks, and vice versa. The other problem is, ignoring the fact that the third Doctor might have seen the title Planet of the Daleks when he was going through the time vortex, is that we know it's going to be the Daleks because it was established in the previous story, The Frontier in Space, that the Doctor is pursuing the Daleks because they found out about their master plan of conquering the universe. There is an argument to be had that if he was just watching this story on its own, this cliffhanger does kind of work. But considering this was originally going to be a 12-part epic featuring the Daleks, but was just split into two 6-part stories, and we've already established that the Doctor is chasing the Daleks to stop them from conquering the universe, then this cliffhanger makes it a little bit redundant. So sadly, this is a bad cliffhanger. Going to the modern era of Doctor Who now, and there is some absolute epics that springs to mind. One of them being, of course, the cliffhanger to the Stolen Earth. This was just one of the most epic cliffhangers I've ever seen in Doctor Who. It was already established that the Doctor got exterminated by a Dalek just before he was about to reach Rose for the first time in God knows how many years, only to be dragged into the TARDIS. But we also have poor Sarah Jane. She's in a car trying to find the Doctor, only to come up with a pair of Daleks who are about to exterminate her. But on top of all that, we've got the Torchwood gang, or remaining Torchwood gang, Yanto and Gwen. They're just about to be exterminated by a single Dalek as they're shooting their guns for all their life. And of course, the Doctor in the TARDIS with Rose, Jack, and Donna, and he's just about to regenerate before the big words "to be continue" flash on your screen. That's your lot for Stolen Earth. Just breaking this cliffhanger down a little bit, what I loved was just the massive talk about this cliffhanger from the public. For me, back in 2008, I think this was recorded. The whole nation was swept on this cliffhanger. There was press coverage, media coverage, interviews with previous doctors. I remember Sylvester McCoy being on the couch of Good Morning Britain or GMTV asking his opinion on, well, are we going to get a new Doctor or is this a red herring? And yeah, just to be a fan of Doctor Who, witness Doctor Who being on the mainstream is just amazing to see. And with Russell T Davies coming back in 2023, and kind of hoping that we get another epic cliffhanger out of him for the mainstream public to talk about. But just to, on top of all that, just to break it down a little bit further, we also have the cliffhanger of poor Sarah Jane holding her hands up in the car, the Dalek refusing her apology, just about to be exterminated, and poor Yanto and Gwen, especially Gwen, firing that gun, screaming out of fear and anger. That just gave me goosebumps, and still gives me goosebumps and shivers down my spine. And yeah, this is just a fantastic cliffhanger, probably one of the best of the modern era of Doctor Who, if not easily one of the top 5 throughout the history of Doctor Who. This is a good cliffhanger. In the same breath, I have to mention the cliffhanger to The Pandorica Opens, the penultimate episode of Season 5 of Modern Doctor Who, and it was the first series of Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. What I love is all these aliens banding together, forming an alliance to stop the Doctor and seal him in the Pandorica, and just basically getting it utterly wrong because the universe does implode, with obviously poor old Professor River Song. She's stuck in the TARDIS and that's exploding, and Amy dying in Rory's arms. If we're comparing the two penultimate episodes, Journey's End visually looks epic, from season 4, of course. And then obviously for season 5, honestly, I thought that Stephen Moffat went in a really clever direction, going for that subtle epicness, and then just at the end having the universe just basically collapsing in on itself. And you just go away thinking, oh my gosh, the universe has ended. How are they going to get out of this one? How is this going to resolve in the next episode? So for me, we've just had two brilliant epic cliffhangers, and this one definitely is a good cliffhanger. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts to all the cliffhangers discussed in this video. Do you agree with my opinions or do you disagree? And also, what is your best and worst cliffhangers from the entire history of Doctor Who? Next time on Timey Wimey Review, it's back to my reviews with the 9th Doctor episode, The Long Game. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the cloister bell for more notifications, and do check out my other videos on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. But as the good doctor once said, what? What? What?